Waiting for it to appear here or something to
Something to
light
show up. Hi guys. Look who I've brought. It's 9 of noon, so we're gonna wait a couple minutes just to let people come in.
We're setting up our tech.
We're getting the tech ready so that we can trend with you. We can be all like conversationalizing. There you go.
I do have to turn the volume
I
off.
told you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So every single time I turn on, it's like I hear it echo, and then it echoes back, and it echoes back, and it echoes back. It's really a disturbing sound. Yes, and it will be a lag. Right now, as you can see, the one in the top there means it's just us, which is fine.
I just had to turn it off of top chat onto live chat.
So gotcha. So that see all the stuff that's happening.
Come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay. Does that thing? Oh, you can go away so I can go watch me, so we can see things as they come up.
La la
la la la. I'm getting into me.
It's the Michelle singing show.
Yeah, because I do it a lot. La la la.
La la la.
Why am I not? Okay. Hi, who's joined us? Say hello. Hold on. I have no idea what that is. Just say hi where you see this stuff pop up. And that way we know that you are here. Hello. We're on her TV. How exciting.
Rock on.
Okay, why can I not find it here? Videos. There we go. Now I can do that. There we go. All right, so I am now. See, it does that every single time. It's like when you start a new one. It's really.
She didn't turn her volume off either.
I did. It's totally off. The little orange thingy is on. It's very crazy. All right. Well, since we have a whole visitor. Good morning, Lori. I hope you're enjoying where you are. We are gonna talk about things we have learned, things and stuff that we have learned from our last trip, compared to prior trips, etc. If you have any questions about Universal, Disney, Orlando, any of the stuff we're talking about, throw it out there. Type away. And it will allow us to answer your questions and not just make this something that we could have recorded and edited and made pretty anyway.
Well,
what?
She can make herself pretty. I don't get pretty. Pretty ugly. No?
No.
Okay.
No, of course, we're waiting for, we got someone else. Someone else is in. Come and say hi. Drop in over down, or you see where the other people have chatted up on the side of this, on you guys. I think it's that side of the screen. But just look on the side there and type in a hi, just so we know who's here. We are starting to talk about things we learned from Universal. Something you want to know about, drop in the question. If we start on a topic or there's a topic you want us to go over, let us know and we'll switch based on that. We'll just kind of go through some of the stuff that we wanted to talk about or we thought was important. So is there a preference you have here?
I don't know. It's tough to know which ones are going to be like the least appealing to people to to learn more about.
Well, it's not. I mean, least versus best. Who knows? Why don't we start with transportation?
Okay.
So actually, no. Why not lodging? Because I think that makes the most sense. So we stayed 3 nights at Disney's Port Orleans Riverside, and then 4 nights. Yes, at the Hilton Grand Vacation Club Parc Soleil, which is my timeshare.
Just stepping back to frame the references of some of the things that are popping in my head already. I just wanted to cover the fact that this is now our 3rd trip down together down to the holidays at the parks. The first 2 times that I went down, the first one was like in 2000.
That was trip number
like 2008 or 2009 or something. So that was early on. We had a very different experience in 2016, which was the last time that we went. And then this time, this is the one that we're going to be talking about today. So we may make some references to the things that have changed, to the things that we've noticed and that are different. But I just wanted to, for the people that don't know us and the fact that we've done this before, there's some amount of...
This isn't our first time. Yeah. So that being said...
so now
and to throw into that, I have been going for every Christmas for the last 11 years. And I've done a couple other trips, like a June trip with my nephew and 1 or 2 others, so I've been coming to the parks regularly. This is the first time that I stayed on property since 2002. And this is Sammy. She likes to come and visit briefly through all of our shows, so she will do this. So normally I stay at the timeshare. So the differences between staying on property versus the timeshare. Hi, Mouse. We have another one joining us too shortly. We have. Hi, baby. We discovered. Thank you. Okay, the cats are really into watching us today. We discovered, at least for me, the benefits of being on property. Yeah, well, we got drama over here. The benefits of being on property versus not being on property. The first is, of course, you can book your fast passes 60 days out versus 30 days out. And the cool part is if you're staying, say, for 4 days, on that first day of your trip, you can book for, yes, she'll be back. But you can book your fast pass, like we started on the 22nd. On the 60 days out from the 22nd, I not only booked our fast pass for the 22nd, but I could book for the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, because those were the days we were considered on property. And then the 25th, I had to wait 34 days, and then I could start booking each day the fast passes for those. So what we did, knowing that was going to be the case, is we saved our Universal days for those days, just to make sure that we got the biggest benefit. You know, Drew's big thing to me when we did this trip was he wanted new experiences. So the staying on property was something. Had you ever done that before?
I have not stayed on property. We've rented to other people's timeshares and things, and that was a treat this time. But I didn't know all the perks that came with staying on property. I just figured that you got to ride the monorail and that you were at the parks. And it's not quite that simple, but yet it's a whole lot, much more than that.
For staying on property. All right. So by staying on property, you get extra magic hours, which are an hour before normal park opening or a couple hours after. You get to be in before everybody else, which is really beneficial on these crazy times of the year. Because what you'll do is you'll go to where the extra magic or the early magic hours are for that hour in the morning, or and then stay for a little bit. But as the crowd comes in, you can then go to another park, and you've already killed some of the worst of the time and the delays. So there's that. You can access the free Disney transportation even if you're not staying on property, but it's easier, and you just get more awareness of it. You can use your phone to unlock your room. You get a magic band, which is not this, but you can get a magic band with your reservation. Oh, well. It's okay. I've got some in the other room. When you stay on property, if you pre-order them, they actually put your name on the inside of the band. So like if 3 people from the family all want blue, you know whose is whose, which is nice. But you can charge things to your room. So you can put a credit card, and we were actually, even with the 2 of us, we were allowed to put separate credit cards. So his band charged things to his account, and my band charged things to my account. And then at the end of the trip, it's like, I think at 4 a.m., it actually charges whatever card's on file. But then we went to the stand in the morning and went, all right, here are all my gift cards, because I was pre-buying gift cards at a couple places where you save, a couple bucks, each time. So that, and then paid everything off that way. Other benefits from staying on property.
Oh, one of the big ones is if you are a shopper person, if you're trying to do shopping, you can actually shop in the parks and then have your bags. Anybody can have them waiting for you at the front. And when the park closes, the lines there get to be longer than to get onto Soarin'. But you can have it sent directly to your room.
You have it sent to the gift shop at your resort. And then you pick it up.
Okay,
no,
gotcha.
No, that's why I had to.
We didn't do too much of that.
Well, here's the other problem, though, is you have to have 2 days from when you purchase it to still be there. And that meant with only staying physically on property for 3 nights, it was a little harder for us to do that. So the first day and the second day you could buy something. And then the second day we knew the stuff wasn't going to show up in the store until after we had officially checked out, but we were still coming back. We stayed on the property. We stayed within the World of Disney and left our bags there until like 10 o'clock at night and then grabbed everything. But at that point, the store was still open and we were able to go and get stuff. We got someone else joining us. Good morning. Hello. Please, or good afternoon. It's noon. Welcome to the afternoon. So yeah, go ahead and say hi so I know who's hanging out and watching. Just a little.
Or not, but then we don't know who's here.
And then we can't help you. If you have questions or you want to know stuff about what's going on, just respond, just type something down there where it says say something in the live chat feed to the side of our picture. or below, depending on if it's phone or other stuff. Yeah, we'll insert it right here. And just, you know, let us know what stuff you would like us to talk about. We're talking about things we learned from our trip to Disney, and right now we're just talking about the transportation.
Well, we're talking a little bit about having the benefits of being on
property, right? Property versus not property.
So if we were staying on property for the first 4 days,
yep,
I think it was
3 nights, but 4 days, yeah.
Could we therefore be shopping all the way to the end of when we were staying, and then had taken like the minivan to pick up our things from the gift shop at Port Orleans?
No, because you have to have a room or a reservation on the property up through that day. So because we only stayed 3 nights that second day.
But yeah,
not really. Okay. And again, we don't want to try to do that, especially not on a public venue. Thank you. So I
setup question.
So it was fun to stay on property. We ended up with a gorgeous corner Riverview room.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Which was, I mean, because normally you don't get a corner, you get like one set of windows, but when you check in, you can ask them, hey, are there any upgrades available? And if there are, they'll let you know and you can upgrade. If there's not, they'll tell you. I mean, we found out we were kind of at the highest level room and we're like, oh, okay, then never mind. We were just curious. But obviously we did get an upgrade because they gave us a corner, which they didn't have to do.
I wonder how much that might have been the travel agent versus how early on we booked it versus.
No, the early part of it isn't. You have to put in, you can request things then, but then the agent usually goes and says something again, I think about a month out. Okay. They really can't do anything before then. And then when you get there, you kind of do it again. You reiterate anything you've specifically asked and they can help you with that.
Strategy.
Yes, Mouse. You want to come up? Come on. The comparison, the timeshare, it's a little more kind of out of the way, but it's sort of centralized between Universal and Disney. So the Uber costs were about the same one direction or the other. The Uber to Disney Springs was like $5 or $6. It was really cheap. Come up. But you know, going to the other places, this time, again, to save kind of points, we only do what equates to a regular hotel room. And the timeshares will only give you a king-size bed. They don't do 2 beds. Unless, with the ones in this area, they don't do that.
With your program.
With the one, well, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, where we stay.
If you're traveling with a family, sometimes it makes sense to just go and get one of the rental houses or something. And they're not too expensive per night. And you get the full kitchenettes and all that stuff. And,
yeah, I mean, and when I do the 1 bedroom at this place, which we've stayed in before, you get a queen size sleeper sofa and the king size bed, or you can get a 2 bedroom, which gives you within a queen size bed, the king size bed, and the sleeper sofa. So you have more flexibility of where people can stay. Come up here, stop complaining. We got a mouse who's like really all right. You
cat named Mouse.
Come here.
Let's see. She hit on something that I wanted to talk about. Oh, the since we're transitioning kind of with our property things into transportation.
Yeah.
When you are staying at the Disney property, the minivans are minivan
because really it's polka dotted like her dress.
Yeah, very clever. But it is 3 times the cost of a regular Lyft or Uber.
Like $7 versus $25. Oh no.
Hit the microphone cable. I will definitely say the minivan is worth every dollar, not just because it's a former Disney employee or current Disney employee, I guess he could even be, that knows all of the ins and outs and can tell you some history and some backstory and answer all your questions that you wanted to ask them. But it's also the reliability of these guys are vetted so much more than the regular Lyft drivers because they're Disney employees and they have to have a certain type of a outward presence. I ended up trying when I got sick one night and bailed out a little early.
Karan. Hi, Karan.
Bailed out just a little early and was trying to get back to the room. Well, I got a Lyft driver and I was watching the Lyft driver's location and how long was it going to take for them to be able to get there. And it was like 17 minutes for them to come from downtown, which is no big deal. But the driver
hadn't moved from its spot.
Didn't move. So I waited a good admirable 10 minutes or so before I actually do we have somebody else join us?
Yes, we had someone named Karan. Karan, Michelle Drew.
The first one never showed up, and when I messaged him like 10 minutes respectfully, waiting for him to move or anything, I said, "Are you still coming? Like, what's going on?" And immediately he dropped. Like he just canceled his pickup. And so I got the next driver assigned to me.
Ignore that. Just keep talking.
And the next driver actually called me and said, I can't get there. They won't let me on property.
He was at the Contemporary. So he was in the Contemporary, and there's quite a walk to get to the gate.
Feeling like death and not wanting to deal with this kind of nonsense. And so I said, I'm going to find out what's going on and get to the bottom of this. And so I marched my ass across the cold. I mean, it was a winter day in Florida. So it was just over freezing, if that, and that, you dressed for the parks. It's not exactly the kind of weather you want to be walking around. And I'll go to the guard station, and I'm like, they said, "Can we help you?" And I said, "You sure as hell can. What's going on up here?" And they said, "What do you mean?" And then I said, "My driver just said that he was not allowed on property." And they said, "No, that's not true." And I said, "Well, that's what he said." And they said, "No, wait, it's not true that he wasn't allowed on property because he was a Lyft driver. It's not true that he was not allowed on property because he didn't have a valid driver's license. He wasn't willing to show his ID, meaning he probably either had a suspended license or something." And they said, "If it's who we think you're referring to," not wanting to be too much on the spot, "if it's who we think you're referring to, you got lucky through us." And apparently this guy looked thuggish and
had no license.
Yeah. So at that point I said, well, thank you very much for doing your job and keeping the riffraff out. And I went back to the Contemporary, and I got a minivan instead that was there in like under 2 minutes. It was ridiculous. He was right there. And
ironically, it would have been faster for him to walk over to Magic Kingdom and take the bus. Because it ended up, because I went back into the park and shut the park down, stayed for the kiss goodnight, got video of that, and then went out at like 12:30 in the morning, went to the bus, got the bus back to the room. He had gotten back to the room at most a half an hour before I did.
Yeah.
So,
my early night was not all that early, and she got to do all the extra rides and the meet and greets.
It was very cool as we're getting onto Peter Pan, or I'm standing in line for Peter Pan. I'm the next person to get on onto the little ship thingies. And the woman who's, how many people thing, turns and looks over to the side and then turns back and goes, "Merry Christmas." And it was exactly midnight, and Christmas had officially happened. Which is one of my favorite things to do is, go ahead and ignore that. So one of my favorite things to do is to look at they have this, like, how many days to Christmas, and it goes 001, 00, like 364, 363, etc. It counts down all year round. And I was like, I wonder, because it said 001 when we got there, and I get up and I looked at him and went, yeah, usually it's 3 numbers. The last number had been taken off, so at that exact moment it was 0 days to Christmas. So it was very cool. It made me very happy. So, transportation, other things of transportation. We took the Friendship boat from Epcot to Hollywood Studios, which was a whole lot of fun. Why don't you talk about this for a minute? I want to see if I can do some.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
We're talking about the Friendship boat that took us from Epcot.
Gotcha. From Epcot. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of transportation options that I had not been on before. Some of the things that we didn't know, that she knew, obviously, but there's ways to be able to get between the parks there once you get through security and everything. You might need to go through a small security thing again, but it's not like the main entrance gate where everything's so crowded. We took a Friendship boat out to the boardwalk, which is a resort area with a number of shops and restaurants and things. And that took us all the way over to, we went from Epcot to where?
Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios on a boat. Which
right now, before the gondolas are open and the bus stations have been fixed, is so much closer to the entrance of the park.
And the gondolas are air gondolas, not like the paddle gondolas.
Yes.
The air gondolas are under construction, and it's very apparent that they're putting a lot of focus and thought and effort into making sure it is a Disney experience, that it's...
A quick answer in here, Miss Susan. No, we did not take the boat from French Quarter over to Disney Springs. Our timing didn't work out. The day we went to Disney Springs was the day we were over at the timeshare. So completely different ball of wax. Love the ride. Yeah. Yeah, I remember you said that, and I may attempt to do that this next time I go, taking a margarita, and it's just enough time to drink your margarita back to your room.
The other thing that's a little odd with your experience, Susan, versus our experience was it was cold, and I didn't really pack to be out on the water in cold weather. So early in the evening, or early in the morning and late in the evening, you don't want to be on that boat for those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's never the comfiest. So that's why it does that. Woo-hoo. Okay.
So we definitely, when you go for the holiday season, when you go in the winter months, you can have, days that are up 80, 90 degrees as the high, but watch those lows, man, because those low temperatures can kill you. Now, either you're going to get lucky and your lows are going to be in the 60s, or you get unlucky, like I felt like we did, and get down to freezing temperatures. When we got off the plane at the Orlando airport, it was ridiculously cold, and I realized I packed all short sleeve shirts.
Yeah, so he borrowed my Disneyland long sleeve thing. I always pack in layers. Even in the summer, I'm not wearing a scarf and a hat. And it's more, it looks like matching up kind of thing. But I do that because every time you walk into a restaurant, oh dear God, some of them are cold. Mythos specifically over in Universal is butt ass freezing. Oh my God.
It's a walk-in refrigerator
temperature. Is. Yeah. And if you're going to sit there and actually enjoy your meal, oh dear God.
Bring a jacket or a scarf or something.
So yeah, exactly. So there, you forgot you were doing. Oh, well, good. I'm glad you made it in, Miss Susan. You only had one frozen drink on your last trip. Yeah, exactly. It's not nearly as warm as you expect it to be sometimes.
Thank you, Corinne.
That's okay. So, are there things you guys want to know specifically about in terms of what we've learned? What kind of stuff you have you've gotten out of, or what things have changed?
Or if you're keeping up with Michelle's blog, maybe you actually want to know more about some of the things she's talked about in the past. Certainly pose those things as well.
Yeah, questions are always happily welcome.
From this trip.
Yeah. So we talked about on versus off property. Did we have a preference of on versus off property or no? Yeah, I mean, do you have a preference?
Staying on property is obviously more expensive, but all the benefits that come along with it, and all of if you're doing the whole stay on Disney property, really, there's a lot of strategy can go into all the perks and making those work best for you. So it could be a cost offset, or at least justifiable.
Yeah. Okay, so Susan posed a question that is actually on our list.
Okay.
Favorite tour.
Now
I will let you go first. Well, Disney's the only one who has them.
Well, there are no tours at Universal, but you can get a tour guide that will walk around with you
and get you on rides really fast, and you pay $4,000 for like one partial part of a day
for a group of people, but
like
still,
6.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, that being said,
so our favorite tour, I found that while the Keys to the Kingdom tour was
let's preface. We did 3 tours.
The reason why I wanted to go to do the tour was the Keys to the Kingdom. One of my bucket list items before I die, before I go blind, before I do whatever, was to get back into the underground, the Utilidors. It's technically not underground.
It's actually the bottom floor.
They cover all of that stuff, but. It was
before we go any further, the preface is on this tour, because these are the ones he's done. We did the Keys to the Kingdom, which goes into the Utilidors, the VIP Nights of Adventure tour, which was at Animal Kingdom, and the
Wild
Africa Trek, also at Animal Kingdom. So that being said, go for it.
Yeah, and so the VIP tour was wonderful, and I highly recommend doing it, but I don't need to do it over and over and over again. The one that I felt that I loved the most was the Wild Africa Trek. The Wild Africa Trek was just so different and magical, and the tour.
That video is getting posted today.
Oh, good,
yeah.
Excellent. So I don't want to spoil things too much. We got to go backstage. We got to go in through the woods. The safari area is the largest. It's larger than all of Magic Kingdom.
You could drop Magic Kingdom into the safari ride.
So it just has so many opportunities, but they bring you to some very specific areas. They start off by just kind of giving you a nature walk through the woods, and it's not.
And you need to be able to handle, forest terrain.
Yeah, it's got roots and
uneven, and
overgrown branches and stuff like that. It's not really, it's not
far
a difficult walk, but you do need to be mobile. I can't see anybody doing it.
You couldn't do an ECV, and you couldn't do, if you were on a cane and you didn't have stability to do it.
None of those things.
And we were very lucky that on all of our tours, the youngest person on one tour was like 11.
Yeah.
And everything else was all adults. So we weren't, even one of the tour guides said something about, you know, we're not stopping for people with strollers. We haven't had to run back and catch people. This has been great. So
yeah.
So go for it. So you're talking wildlife.
When you're near the animals, they are very Disney conservation oriented.
Oh, yeah.
And they are looking out for your safety. So where you're walking with a big harness pack and everything to get through the woods to be able to get to your first thing, you're now looking down over a hill, but before they'll let you get anywhere near the edge of that hill to look down to the hippopotamus down below, they've got you locked in with a sky hook like you're going zip lining, but you don't go zip lining.
Your carabiner.
Yeah, yeah, and you're double locked down, and they explain the whole process.
Every part of your phone, your video camera, your water bottle, everything is like clamped and locked onto your body and in a pocket.
So if that video is posting today, you'll be able to see the ridiculous amount of heavy gear that we're carting around to be
for very little real danger. But
but that was fun. And so they have a couple of areas where, I mean, there's no Jungle Cruise animals here. This is not animatronics. This is real live animals. They've got a couple of them trained to kind of respond to cues. So they'll bang a can or something, and the hippos were underwater. Their ears were underwater. They couldn't hear it. But as soon as one of them, there was two of them,
and you will see this on the video today.
As soon as one of them got his ears up above, because he came up to breathe, they banged the can, and
5 times.
Him moving made the other one come up over to be able to see why he was moving, and so they both ran over, and that was the signal for treats.
No, mind you, a hippo running is not very fast.
Yeah,
but you'll get to see it on the video. I just looked, because they were underwater, and I'm filming them. She's talking about it. I went, ears are up, and then she hit the banging thing, and you'll get to see this whole thing. It's very cool. And they fed them, and there were ducks trying to eat their food.
They weren't feeding them so much as they were giving them tasty snacks.
And watermelon.
Yeah, but they eat so much during the day.
But they were feeding them. It wasn't their only meal.
Well,
they're training them to respond to this. You get this response, and that will allow you to get these treats.
And then that brought them so close that we were able to get some amazing shots, some video, some still shots, and we spent a good long while there talking about the different aspects of what the hippopotamus life is like in Africa and how they're trying to emulate that in the Disney Animal Kingdom. It was very cute. And then
very fun. And then you get to walk over what looks like an incredibly rickety bridge, but is far more stable than you realize. To walk over the hippo enclosure, and there was a baby hippo under us as we walked over. And coming back the other way, we walked over crocodiles. Well, yeah, it was a 1,300-pound baby, but
And the whole time you're also carabined in, like you've got your safety harnesses on, and underneath this rickety bridge, quote unquote, it wasn't so much rickety; it was definitely solid, but
lots of open
spaces. It looks like it's falling apart, but it's really not. But they said that if you slip, if you actually miss your step and you fall, it'll be the scariest 10-foot drop 4-foot drop you'll ever have.
Hold on 1 second. Susan, your mom, is she mobile? Can she walk around in like uneven forest ground? Because age isn't really the problem. It's mobility and flexibility. So keep talking. I just wanted to get that question.
You have to carry a pack, which is a little heavy.
3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
But there's
it includes lunch or breakfast.
There's a lot of sitting down in areas and stuff that you don't really.
Well, I mean, you'll be walking in the uneven terrain at the beginning, and you stand over the hippos and a couple other things like that. Then you're gonna sit on a sort of a private truck rather than like the safari ones you see going through. You're going to sit in one of the smaller ones, and it's just your group of about 12 people. So you're sitting while you're driving through. You'll stop and start instead of how you just have to keep moving through the safari and it's very bumpy. For this, it'd be like, all right, we're going to pull over to this side, and okay, guys, you can get up and take pictures. So you could get some amazing shots, and they actually had a camera with them because they're used to doing this. It would take some incredible photographs, and then you drive to the lunch space. And the lunch space is, you see the flamingos and the elephants in one direction. You see the entire first savanna area where the giraffes and the springboks and the wildebeests are all sitting out there. And
the Watusi.
And the Watusis. And you just sit and watch it. And they had just had a baby giraffe. She was still behind scenes. But they had, oh no, that one was about to be born, but there was a young in there, and she was leaping.
There was 3 babies while we were there. They were saying
not
giraffes? Just giraffes.
No, I'm talking about just the giraffe at the moment. Yeah, we saw a couple different, but the giraffe was just playing with the springbok and gamboling, which is like running, like legs flinging, because baby, tall baby already was walking. You know, I don't know what's wrong with our babies, that our babies won't walk immediately. But really just absolutely impressive, absolutely beautiful. And
Susan, we are actually paying for that day at the park.
You have to have entrance into the park, and then you pay for the tour. The tour itself is about $250. It's offered like 5 or 6 times a day. If you are a Chase Visa card member, and you purchase on that card and you do the afternoon, the last tour, you get, I think, 10 or 15% off, which is, you know, that's what we originally booked.
Strategy.
Yeah, you know, it make those options work for you. 3-hour tour on the park.
So the lunch is actually very cute. Obviously,
yeah, it's a charge on top.
I have some food issues, and Michelle has
many food issues,
several more, but different. And so they actually had these little canteen types of packs that are already set up. It looks like a big cylinder tub. I'm sure that'll be on the video, but we had just a lovely arrangement of things that were catered just specifically for our culinary needs. We had a little edible flower on top. So when you opened up the top, it had this little flower. And
Dendrobium orchids. They are yummy. No, they're kind of bland, but they're, but yeah, you know, before the tour, they will email you. They'll ask you for any allergies and things, so you let them know in advance. You know, we learned why elephants don't like bees at all. That was an interesting one, and that will also end up on the video. So there's gonna be so much for you to see when this thing goes up. But so his favorite tour is the Wild Africa Trek.
Yeah.
In terms of, and I was actually afraid of that one because, like, oh, if you're afraid of heights, don't do this. And I was a little nervous, but you know what? I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
The only heights was the very beginning thing. There was the walking over the bridge, but then leaning over the hill.
No, because you're stable in a base.
Over. Yeah, well,
I was going to say the part is walking on that bridge when you see empty holes below you and a crocodile. So yeah,
or 12
crocodiles just chilling out. So yeah, so it was very cool.
There was no bad tours. I'm trying to give you my favorite tour, but there is no least favorite tour. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, the VIP tour that we did for Animal Kingdom was basically a skip the lines tour.
Yeah.
And a small group, and then they warn you
that Kingdom, that really kind of is a major thing, because with the Pandora new stuff that's coming, I'm sure they're going to have some kind of a skip the line tour that's going to be coming for the Star Wars land that's opening up shortly.
Probably.
But you know, when it gets there, we'll have to look into it.
Epcot Living with the Living with the Land Behind the Seeds tour. Yes, I have 3 times.
Yeah, I have done that once. I think
we did that one time
2 years ago.
Yeah. And that one's a really inexpensive tour. That's like a 1-hour walking tour. I think it's $25 now. It used to be cheaper than that. You get a piece of hydroponic cucumber during the process, and you basically walk and see the plants up close. You can't step on anything. You can't touch them. There's a whole lot of protocols with that, but you get some great pictures. See, you turned your sound off, didn't you?
I had my sound off.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. So I would liken it to somewhat of the kids just entering Willy Wonka, and like you don't get to run around and touch the plants and stuff like you did in Willy Wonka. And I'm talking the original Willy Wonka.
Yeah, you mean the good one?
Yeah, the junky one. But that experience just brings you up close and personal with some of the stories of how they do the horticulture, how they have the fish tanks actually
feeding the plants, and
the debris from the animals is actually
this might be useful
nutrition for
crappity.
Yeah, it's under the table.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna bounce for a second.
Watch out, guys.
Oh, that wasn't too bad of a bounce.
Good.
That
Sorry.
was the power cable. It
was unplugged. We might have been in the middle of a live chat and gone poof. So, but I wanted to go back to this for a second. Yes, Susan, I think she would have a great time with that living with the land. The really cool thing about living with the land, you can, unless it's Christmas week, and even then you sometimes can, you can walk up that day and see what times they have available, because they do them like every hour with a different PhD that's studying there, doing the micropropagation and all the different plant techniques they've got going on.
I just wanted to add, for people with limited mobility, for your mom, Susan, I don't know what her mobility issues are, but even if you were wheelchair bound, you could do the Keys to the Kingdom tour. And I just wanted to throw that out.
That one, yeah.
None of us had mobility issues on our trek, so we took the stairs, but there was an elevator available, and they asked if anybody was having issues, short of breath or heart options. And so they do have tours that are mobile, and then some that you require, you have to do a little bit of effort.
Yeah. 2020 sounds lovely. Of course, it'll be open by then. The lines will still be awful, but if you're staying on property, you might have the minutest chance of actually booking it. Here's a trick with booking your fast passes if you're staying on property. Because as I said before, if you're staying, say, 4 days, you can, the day when you're 60 days out from that first one, you can book all of them. Don't book that first day immediately at 7 a.m. to book your fast passes. Go to day 3, and wherever you're going to be day 3, book those. Or if you want to go and do the Pandora rides, or you want to do the Star Wars rides, then go, all right, so I've got from 7 a.m. for these 4 days, book day 4 first. If that's the one you've got to do the Star Wars, do that, and then work your way forward. And Magic Kingdom, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is your hard ticket item, and some of the mountains. Pandora is going to be your hard ticket items over at Animal Kingdom. And really, it's flights of passage rather than the Navi River Adventure. They both get long, but the one you're going to want to spend that fast pass on, because you can only do one, is going to be the flying one, unless you have motion issues. Star Wars Land is going to, right now it's Toy Story Land stuff and Slinky Dog Dash, but it's going to be Star Wars Land come December.
I even worry for Toy Story with the way that the layout and the entrance and the flow of people walking through. It looks to me like you're going to have to walk through Toy Story Land to be able to get to the Star Wars Land.
No, there's entrances on both sides.
Okay.
I've seen the layout. Do you remember over by the Muppets area, that blocked off wall?
Okay.
That's another entrance.
Gotcha.
So there's like 2 or 3 entrances in and out.
So maybe it won't be as bad to the Toy Story line, but
Toy Story area gets real crowded. And the concern I have is, oh, cool. Okay. If the Toy Story flow is not great, and if they're going to block off getting in or out of the Star Wars area specifically because the traffic is going to be so high. For example, when we went to Harry Potter World, they actually said it's going to be 5 hours to get into the Harry Potter area, and then you had to get and wait in lines. So it wasn't even a come back at X time. It's you literally had to stand there to get into the area. And that changed over time.
Universal's
has a different way of doing
mentality
stuff.
Of how they handle the people is very different than Disney. And
yes.
Disney spends a lot of time trying to make sure that you have the most enjoyable experience, whereas the Universal people have, I kind of
more amusement parky.
Well, they've got better attractions, in my opinion, in a lot of places. Not all of them. But I mean,
I can't handle them, but I understand what he's saying. They're more dramatic.
It's not the same experience. So if you are not staying on property, go to Universal first. And that way you end up doing the things that you want to do, get them crossed off your list, and then just enjoy the heck out of being treated so much better over at Disney. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you do it the opposite way, like we did this trip, but we kind of have done this before. Except you feel let down in Universal. It's like it's not the magic experience.
Certain parts, yeah. There's definitely this is my job, I'm doing it kind of energy from a lot of the people who work there. Not all of them, but there is that energy from a lot of them.
It's more the staff, not the performers. The performers are tops,
fabulous, yeah,
in both places.
Yeah,
but it's the staff. It's just the people on the street where you could say, "Excuse me, can you help me?" And you'll get ignored at Universal, maybe, or at Disney. They will stop everything and maybe call someone else over to be able to help you out and to answer your question.
Right. just the simplest way of saying, like, they'll point with one finger at Universal and with the hand at Disney. And if you understand that, and that's a big thing they train you, it has to be at least 2 fingers or the full hand when you point to things at Disney, because one finger points, depending on which finger you use, but one finger points are incredibly offensive to some cultures. So they're very specific about that. This brought me up to one of the other topics.
Disability.
No, that wasn't it. Dining plans, staying on property versus not staying on property. So the other big thing that we did is we did the deluxe dining plan. It was not part of, we didn't get free dining. We just paid for the dining plan. And we did the deluxe mostly because I knew we were doing a lot of sit-down meals. The other benefit is you have to have the dining plan for every individual night you're there. So we were coming in first thing in the morning on the first day. And because we were going to the timeshare, we weren't flying out. We were staying till midnight the next day. So we had 4 full days to use 3 days of meals. And we knew one day we were going to just do eating and snacking at Epcot. So that became, we used most of our snack credits there. And we did signature restaurants. So two credit meals. So we weren't doing 3 meals a day. We were doing 2 meals the way we normally would have, just higher end stuff. And not paying that out of pocket. Would we do that again? I don't think you had an appetite for it.
Well, and there's another topic, which is my regrets, is every year somebody gets sick. And one year it was Michelle. The other 2 years it was me.
Thank you for taking it for the team.
I didn't get as sick this time as I did last time. And last time was our foodie experience. And so I really missed out on some amazing stuff. But
Victoria
that's
and Albert.
Different topic. This time, just not having a great appetite and not even ordering many of the specialty drinks at the bars that I might have, because I'm looking for hot toddies, thank you, you know, that kind of thing. Took some of the wind out from the sails, but I think it was okay.
You did okay. Well,
my concern have an appetite. I wanted to try a little bit of everything.
Right. And that, I think that's part of it, is when you do the dining plan, it's appetizer, entree, dessert on the deluxe level. Appetizer, entree, dessert, and a beverage that can be a specialty beverage or an alcoholic beverage. So and things like the poutine over in Le Cellier were not included, as you couldn't put that in there. You'd have to make that an upcharge. Right. So things like that, I went, okay, interesting.
So with, let me just say the benefit of
the dining plan
that we didn't expect was we thought we would have kind of a limited menu, like a FIPRE. This is the only mini menu and everything. With the food issues that we both had, we had the full menu to ourselves. There were a couple of items that says, you know, this is not covered by the dining plan, or there's little asterisk or boxes around them and stuff. But the options were incredibly flexible.
Oh yeah.
It was,
you were ordering anything out of the meal. The other thing to be aware of when you're doing the dining plan, if you do a sit down restaurant, tip is not included. You still have to pay that. Now you can charge it back to your room and then just do one physical charge at the end, which I recommend if you can do that, as long as you can. Once you've paid off your bill, obviously you can't. But the more you can do that, it just makes life easier for yourself.
Plus, you don't want to carry a bunch of cash around in the parks.
I mean, even still, I do gift cards mostly. But for Ubers and things like that, you can charge it on your phone. So you want to have some cash with you, but it's limited. And like I said, mostly gift cards will work. Where are we with this stuff? My concern was that we were not getting the full benefit of the foods. We would order something and we wouldn't finish it, which was kind of frustrating. The first day we ended up doing way the hell too much food. Oh my God. Because we got a quick snack because we hadn't really had breakfast. So we'll get the second season. We got fries, and then we went to Nomad's Lounge and we got the churros and the satay and the poutine. The poutine was average, but the other 2 were good. And then we went on the tour, and they warn you they have a heavy snack. Well, when I hear snack, I think snack.
Like concession stand. No.
You got dinner at Satu'li Canteen. They brought you out a platter that had all of the different proteins and all of the different mixes, so you could mix and match and make your own bowl up. For me, because of the gluten issue, they made me my own separate bowl, so I wasn't sharing with other people. But, there you go. You're suddenly, we ate a whole meal, and then we had dinner at Tiffin's.
So you get separated into like subgroups within your large tour group. We had like 5 or 6 tables, and we shared our table with maybe 4 or 5 other people.
It was a family of 4.
Was it just the 4? There was not 2 on the other side.
What?
No, it was just 6.
It was just a family of 4.
So you're sharing this whole big long buffet of food on each table for just 6 people. So everybody had their options that they wanted to get. I liked that meal. I unexpectedly liked that meal.
Now, Susan, in terms of your second comment, you were talking about the meal plan and that you wouldn't necessarily get the benefit out of it. Truth be told, you actually could if you don't do the high level, if you do the snack credit one or the mid-range one, because the mid-range one, you get 1 sit down and 1 table service, 1 quick service, and then snacks. And for that, I think I would end up I'd be fine with that if I didn't necessarily have to do sit down meals. And especially now that there's mobile ordering available, yeah, I could probably do that.
Lori, I kept that point. If you're traveling with a family and there's kids of any age that is going to be a little picky, clearly the dining plan is not going to be applicable for everybody. So maybe, I don't know whether you can do like 2 members in the party having the meal plan and then the third not.
Nope. Okay. It's everybody in the room or not, and you have to be on the same type of meal plan.
So if you are, there's some benefit and drawback.
In not doing. Now, and the only time I would say that's a benefit is if they offer the free dining plan on top of what you're doing. But I also, if you're staying on property and you're the only person in a room, I would not do the dining plan simply because the free dining plan, you have to pay full price for the room to get the free dining plan. And the full price for the room is probably going to be more per night than what your dining plan would have been, which is the quick service dining plan. So that's not a great value. Yeah. And, Coral Reef. Yeah. Susan was asking us what we thought of Coral Reef. So,
that actually is going to be the last day that we were there. A review recap that is not coming up quite yet.
It's 2 days.
2 days?
No, it's going to be in the same one. Wild Africa trip, because we started in Animal Kingdom, we went to Magic Kingdom, and we end the night in
with my friends in Epcot. Okay. So
yeah, so this is,
you should be seeing our review there as well. But
we did a little talking about it, but not a ton. So
I was catching up with an old high school friend of mine, and so we had more social stuff and everything. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed our experience. The wait staff was very pleasant and everything. Our biggest problem was when we checked in, they forgot us, and we were sitting around just talking and talking and talking.
We were there for a half an hour before they seated us.
And then we went over and said, is our table anywhere near ready? Because everybody that came in after us has already been seated. They're like, what's the name? Well, we can't.
No, they
hang on. We'll get you a table. And it was.
Well, it was one of those when I checked in, they said we're running on schedule. We're running about on schedule. We were 5 minutes late, and they thought they were doing okay. And we went and sat down, and then we waited, and it was a half an hour. And I went back. Was like, how soon are we going to be? I thought you said you were on schedule. But oh my God, no, yeah, we'll get you right. Yeah. So it was one of those like somehow our name got shuffled to the side, which sucked. So we wasted some time that way, and we were hungry.
My buddy's wife was very hungry, and I was having a bad sugar low, so it got to be a little bit more of a medical issue as well for the 2 of us. But we got resolved. We got our table. We did just fine.
Yeah,
came out. The portions were big.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere you go in Disney, the portions are huge, which is why, again, like Susan was saying, she splits the dinner, appetizer, entree, and exactly at that point. Unless one of you sleeps in a room that gets the dining plan and the other one sleeps in a room that doesn't get the dining plan, it doesn't work. And that's actually something I learned. If you go in a group and you have like 4 people staying in one room and 2 people staying in the other, or however you do it, you can get dining plans for the people in one room and not the other room, because everything in the room has to be there. And then when you all go out to dinner, you can pay with your dining plan for their things. Doesn't matter. You can scan it. You can still pay for everything. I think someone new just came in. If you are new, just come and say hi so we know who's here and chatting with us.
If you're not staying on property, however, you're not looking at the free dining plan options.
You can't get the dining plan at all. You just have to.
There's no dining plan if
you're
up?
Nope, only if you're staying on property. I know. But get gift cards. And I know. But that's what we did. So that's why we did all the fancier sit-down meals at the beginning of our trip to cover the signature stuff. And with the deluxe dining plan, we kind of calculated it out that if you get, because you get the free soda mug for when you're staying in the resorts, and any resorts will allow that, you get, if you pay at least $4 for every snack credit, and the more you pay, the better off you are. then your each sit down credit, each table service credit should be about $36. So if you're doing a 2 signature meal, you want to spend $72. I mean, I got glasses of wine that were $17 for the glass of wine, and a $40 entree, and a $10 dessert, and a $10 appetizer. You'd make it. I'm at one restaurant. I think I would have, if I'd paid out of pocket, I would have paid over $100 just for the foods I got.
You can lose money.
You absolutely can.
So
you're vegetarian.
You have to strategize and strategy. When you strategize, you can make out a lot in the positive rather than in the negative. So it just takes some planning.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot of fun to do the planning, because then you get to go through all the menus and figure out, well, you don't want to do this.
And just kind of look at it. If you're a vegetarian, don't do the signature restaurant stuff. The dining plan stuff generally isn't going to work for you. It's not going to pay off because your entrees are $20, whereas everything else is $40. So you're not gonna make your money's worth in general.
Have we missed any questions?
That's
I think we're all caught up.
I think so. Does anyone have any questions about anything specific that you may have seen on one of the prior vlogs from this trip, or anything that we've talked about that doesn't make sense? And in the meantime, we will start to look at, what do you want to talk about next?
You had an interesting idea to talk a little bit about the getting to Orlando if you're flying in from somewhere.
So it doesn't work particularly well with other airlines, although I think you had an app that had told you when other airlines prices started to reduce and drop. But if you're flying via Southwest, if you can fly via Southwest, I highly recommend it. You can bring 2 big suitcases and not pay extra, and still have your carry-on and your personal item.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah. What is
she just said that?
About Universal First. It's a psychological thing. Yeah.
Strategy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine either way, but you definitely go, oh, we're not in Magic Land anymore when you go to Universal.
I imagine it's like coming back from a cruise. When you get off the cruise ship, everything's a little bit more real and not as accommodating.
Not as magical. So Southwest, when you book on Southwest, I try to book as early out as I possibly can, and try to get the flight you want to take. If the prices look a little bit high, and you have to if you're flying, this helps if you fly more than once a year. You book the flight with the rate you see as soon as so you can get that, and then you
get the flex ticket or some sort of.
You get the basic one. You don't pay the expensive ones. You pay the basic one. And if the price goes down, you can go back in and repurchase the ticket at a discounted rate. You say, which ticket do you want to change? This one. I'm going to repurchase it. And you go and repurchase at that lower rate. It will leave a credit on your record. You can apply to another flight. But I've gotten it where I might have booked, and what we did, because I knew I didn't want to necessarily leave a big credit on the flight, I actually looked for one of the least expensive flights within those 2 days, like the day before we were actually really going to leave and the day we were going to leave, booked the lower price flight, and then started watching the one we really wanted. So when it dropped to a point where I felt comfortable with it, or it was similar to the price of what I had, I just rebooked to the correct flight. I mean, you've got to have that leeway if something goes awry and it doesn't. Anal retentive planning.
I like it. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. So we definitely kind of upped our game, and by the end of it, usually instead of paying anywhere from $450 to $600 for the flight, we usually get around $350-ish. Yeah, tops $400-ish. Because just things have gotten more expensive over the years.
Now, of course, there's a lot of caveats for flying on Southwest. Like, does the airport near you actually have a Southwest hub? Yeah. So, it doesn't work for everybody, but at least
for those of you in the Baltimore region, it will help.
Or where are some of the other ones? There's
well, that's their hub.
Near their home base is down in Texas.
Houston, I think.
It's on the
Isn't it Houston?
Eastern side of Texas.
If you know where Southwest is based out of, is it Houston? Or
it's not Houston. It's
Hobby?
A small little tiny airport that's over near it's Padre Island.
It is. Oh, JetBlue does a direct flight. That's nice. Now, does JetBlue let you rebook if flight prices drop, Madeir? Yeah. So this is for DC. That's good to know. So rebooking with them, it's really kind of nice that you can keep rebooking and rebooking, and then you can use, I think, up to 3 credits of rebooking on a flight. Now, sometimes you may be rebooking for $1. Sometimes you may be rebooking for a lot more than that. Oh, you're just checking off. Okay. Any specific questions you guys have? If not, we're going to keep talking about stuff we got here because we did that.
Yeah, you want to do the favorites?
Sure.
Or you want to talk about do we have a preference to talk about our favorite rides, favorite foods, favorite
versus
all that sort
dealing
of
with disabilities, or Disney Springs and
the non-park
entertainment?
If you're down there and you don't want to spend the ticket prices to get into the parks each day, it's plan an extra 4 or 5 days and do some of the other non-park types of things. We had a ball doing some of the Disney Springs as well as the boardwalk.
And we could have actually done 2 days at Disney Springs easily, I think.
Oh, just the restaurants alone.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, and the restaurant.
Yeah.
Off-park days. What did you like the most? Disney Springs, which I didn't. It used to be Downtown Disney, and I liked it, and Adventure Island, and I loved the Adventurers Club, and the Pleasure Island, excuse me. And then that got shut down, and we're like, okay, now it's just going to be expensive, spendy, crappity. Blah. It's not. It's top of the line restaurants with oh my God foods. And
in Dallas, no,
Dallas, Southwest. See, Love Field in Dallas.
Yeah, that's
not Houston.
That's not where they started, but that may be their main hub. I just got all this history when I went down to South Padre not too long ago.
What's South Padre?
South Padre, Texas. It's a little island. It's a
very cool
beach community. It's kind of Ocean City.
Oh,
but
in a different state. Yeah, okay.
A stone's throw from Mexico.
From the country, yeah.
From Mexico.
Okay. I'm not going to say what went through my mind. So good. That being said, so yeah, Disney Springs was so much fun. Other things I love doing, doing the monorail crawl, which is going to the monorail resorts and drinking at every single restaurant.
Don't need a ticket to do that.
Nope.
Open to public.
Every time you get on and off the monorail, they, of course, because now they check for bags beforehand, you're going to get your bag checked a lot. But that's lovely. Or eating in the different restaurants, go to Trader Sam's, go to the sushi bar over by the monorail, go to Tambu Lounge, which we went to before. They've actually redone it.
Oh.
So we didn't get there, which he has to go back now.
We didn't do tiki stuff.
We did not get to. We did miss a few tiki things. Yeah, we didn't
there was a tiki place that.
The Lava Lounge.
There's several places in it seemed like in Disney Springs that had kind of a explorer theme kind of a thing, but the Volcano Lounge is the one that I wanted to get to, and after the wine bar and just not feeling 100%, that we decided it was better to go get some extra sleep rather than to try to close the.
They will bag check on the monorails, Lori. She was asking if they bag check at the resorts. So instead of bag checking at Magic Kingdom, they bag check as you get onto the monorail. It's just to simplify. Now that's if you're staying at the resorts. We didn't end up taking Transportation and Ticket Center directly, so I don't know if they check there as well. They may have a different way, but they're trying to get all of that kind of stuff done so that when people get across, they can just start getting their tickets in and get into the parks. So you're dealing with the business side away from the magic side. But yeah, every time you get on the monorail to stop at the resorts, that's where they're checking your bag. So that, especially for the resort one, once you get off, you can walk right in.
And also reducing the choke points.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Distributed choke points.
Yeah, because the crowds have just been getting bigger and bigger, even at the holidays. Yeah, it is kind of cool now. But it does mean if you're doing the monorail crawl, your bag gets checked a lot. If you're just doing the monorail crawl, you may have your magic band and your ID, and that may be all you take. So you might not need a bag if you're not going to go into the parks. You could simplify it that much. But that's fun. Going to the boardwalk. There's a bunch of different things you can do with the boardwalk. There's an ice cream place. There's restaurants. There's like a piano bar, like a Jelly Rolls piano bar, and there's a dance hall there. I haven't been to those, so I don't know what they're like, but that's like evening activities. During the holiday season, just go. You have to go to a park to come out to another resort, with the exception of like the boats and things. But oh my God, go to all of them and look at the Christmas trees. They have gingerbread houses up. They have competitions amongst some of the staff, so you can see all of their Christmas trees.
I don't know if this is an every year thing, but also at Disney Springs, they had the Christmas tree walk where they had all the trees decorated with the certain
crazy
shows or
movies or
rides and stuff. So we had a Haunted Mansion tree that was one of my favorites because it was just so animated.
Yeah.
But they had, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
They had Rapunzel. They had the resorts. They had stores. The most boring one was Disney Springs. All it was names of all of the stores, which was like, okay, that's cheesy.
But they even had some of the more recent Disney productions like Coco and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it was.
Which you still haven't seen yet, have you?
No, I know I need to see that.
He needs
but
to
I
see
did
Coco.
see Moana.
You're welcome.
We met Moana 2 years ago, and I had no idea what the story was, who she was, anything, none of the background. I didn't even know who the stars were in the darn thing. So
hey.
Now that's it is quite a fun experience having seen the movies to be able to then take the walk and go through and see the trees for those movies and see how they've kind of creatively made them into ornaments and decorations and have the characters standing in front, or they had a kind of a hologram lantern on the Haunted Mansion. You can tell I like the Haunted Mansion. This, as you were walking by, it just looked so 3D and animated. It was very cool.
It was very cool. It was unfortunately insanely crowded when we went through, but that's okay. After the holidays, we've been told you can walk through Typhoon Lagoon. Yeah, I've not done the water parks because, I mean, truthfully, there are pools at every resort, and when I go, that's a lot of extra time, and it's more money if you get the water parks.
Right.
And Christmas. There are times it's been 40 degrees. I don't want to buy a park ticket to it.
I did it in the summer back in the 80s.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, actually, it was the spring. Yeah. But we did Typhoon Lagoon back then. No, is that Goofy's?
What, Typhoon Lagoon?
Yeah.
Typhoon Lagoon is as if the place has been destroyed by a hurricane.
No, it wasn't that one then. It was the Goofy one.
They may have changed it up. There's Typhoon Lagoon and I don't remember. What's the other one called? I don't go to them. Yeah, the Lazy River and the Wave Pool would be the only two things I would go on. I don't go on the slides and the rides and things because
there was one water park open. I don't remember which it was when we were down there, but we kind of looked at each other and said, "Are you crazy?"
No, I wasn't going to book that. That's crazy. We also really didn't end up doing the water rides because it was not warm enough.
Quite honestly, we didn't even do the pools.
Yeah, we had the hot tub and the pool available, and we're like, not doing it.
Yeah,
that's not
weren't feeling all that well.
Yeah, Blizzard Beach. Thank you. That's what the other one is. Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. We were Christmas Eve. We were on the monorail going back to where we were headed, and we had a family in the car with us, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't afford to go into the parks, but we're trying to get a little Christmas magic." And went, "Oh, okay, get off here and do this one. Did you watch this? Hey, look at the fireworks, and you can do." So we gave them all kinds of suggestions of things they could do that wasn't going to cost them anything, so that they would be able to enjoy the experience of the Christmas theme, the Christmas world. And it was lovely. It was quite lovely. Do you want to talk disability?
Or not yet? Another couple that we met at the Italian Pavilion who clued us in, or clued me in at least, on the fact that they saw me taking my blood sugar and testing my blood sugar at the table before having something to snack on. And they said, "Oh, our son's a diabetic," and so we just had that kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. This isn't a diabetes thing, honestly. The disability passes, the disability options that they have are only for people who actually need some extra accommodation.
Right.
And because I was feeling so under the weather, and because my blood sugar, when I'm fighting an infection or something, my blood sugar is really hard to be able to control. As a matter of fact, it's really hard to bring down at all from a super high level. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to do too much because it's like suicide if you go too far. So I'm running around with a high blood sugar, which means I have more health information than anybody needs, but you're urinating a lot. And so I had an issue, and I said, I wonder if my disability pass, if they would give it to me.
Yeah.
And so we went up and we asked them, and they didn't ask too many questions.
Well, no, they're not allowed to ask a whole lot. But the basic thing was, they say normally when I went with Lou and Peter last year, the disability was, she can't stand in the line. What's the problem? Well, she's got hip surgery and she's in pain. They went, okay, then here's a wheelchair and you can stay in the lines. You just don't stand. This particular case was, it's the hour being cramped in the line.
The lines were up to 5 hours long,
depending.
Some of the rides.
But
we didn't wait in those lines.
No. But even if it's an hour and I've got to go take my insulin, or my sugar's really wonky, or I've got to run to the bathroom now, and you're like 2/3 to a line, you've lost it. So because of that, they gave him a disability. It's not normally what they would do. It's not the normal use for it.
But it's good to know that there are the options. So if you've got if you're walking around with an ankle cast, or if you actually do have some
anxiety issues,
without
things like that.
Sure, that too.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking energy level. If you don't have the stamina to be able to stand, like some elderly people may not want to.
Well, for them, they get a wheelchair.
Then they can really get some additional benefit to going to the customer service people and saying, are there any options for this? And they did that at Universal. They did that at Disney. Universal is a different program where they give you a piece of paper, and only one ride at a time you can be virtually in line. So they'll mark down the time of when you should be coming back.
And you can come back anytime after then. You don't have to be at that, like, say
you can't get another one of those until you finish that first one that you just did. So
right. So if it's not a super crowded time of year, you could, if you have that kind of an issue, you could potentially get that for the absolute worst line rides, and then, you know, go on a short one or two and then go back. And yes, Sammy is back with us. She likes mommy
she's
sitting.
Definitely purring.
Oh yeah, because mommy's touching her. So yeah, so that was the deal with that, and that was sort of our workaround to make life a little bit less stressful. It was not always perfect. It did not always work, but it did help. I was worried about my mom for a line at 80 minutes of flight of passage. Yeah, restroom for that. Cool. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, and 80 minutes is nothing. That's the ride that got up to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you Star Wars Land is going to get that high, frighteningly high. Because there's so much going on, and that's just to get into the land. I can't even imagine what the situation is going to be like. So we'll see.
So one of the things they did over in Universal that's a little different is they give you a virtual line. So you can actually get a ticket, and then they'll tell you what time your show is going to be aired. So then you have to come back to be in the area for that show.
That's Fast and Furious does that. You don't have to. If you get there early enough, you can just go walk in, which is what we did. Jimmy Fallon does it, where you go in and you can be downstairs, but normally they send you upstairs, and you get a colored little NBC kind of ticket thing, and you sit in the lobby and you can watch Panda, hashtag the Panda,
yeah,
or the Four Guys Singing Quartet, or video and clips from the Jimmy Fallon show, and the lights in the room have a color. And each time the lights in the room change color, that's time for your group to go in. So we just hung out there and waited for green. And we probably sat there and hung out. And in the other room, which you weren't in, they also have some games and things you can play. But it's, you know, we sat there for probably a half an hour waiting for our color to change. So we were technically in line for a half an hour, but we were hanging out, sitting, chilling, relaxing. And
watching people be silly.
Yeah. And having fun.
And being entertained the whole time. With live entertainment. It's not like this is the every other amusement park in the world where they show you these videos over the top of where you're standing in queue. But this is actually watching a stage show. So
she's making muffins. She's so happy. Hi.
So the different strategy from Disney to Universal, but definitely there are some options if you go up and talk to the customer service people. If you're having an issue, let them know, and they'll just see whether they can accommodate you or not.
And they'll tell you what your options
do it all the time.
No. I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. Let them know what your particular situation is. And yeah, the air muffins that I must love. So it's a very cool thing. It's a very, very cool thing. What other things? So I guess really what we're looking at is our
we've talked about this.
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about Christmas at the holidays.
Yeah.
So
no Life Day. I was wanting Life Day.
You know, they might do it in Star Wars Land when it opens, but they don't have a big enough area.
But I was really disappointed. This is on a regrets category. Some of the things change because it's the holidays. So they have special holiday shows, and some of them are magical. Some of them are
wimpy,
sadly disappointing. So at Hollywood Studios, the Star Wars fireworks 2 years ago were amazing, and it just changed my perspective of what was possible with fireworks. It's a whole video montage being broadcast on the famous theater.
It is Grauman's. It is both projections and fireworks, time to music, time to script lines. And they do something similar at Magic Kingdom
now, yeah.
But it's frou-frou-y pretty rather than this one where there was something unbelievably special about the Star Wars ones, both times I saw them.
And I'll just bring up this point, which is apropos of nothing. We were there the day after or 2 days after the death of Carrie Fisher. So it was definitely, everyone there was very somber, very respectful, very,
the audience just specifically
participating.
Yeah. it meant a little bit more that day, that time.
It was deeper.
And I
wanted to see that again, but they replaced it with something like Jingle Bam Jingle.
Jingle Bell Jingle Bam.
Sorry for those people that like that show, but that was not my thing. I wanted to see the Star Wars, so I'm not dismissing their show. I'm just saying that it wasn't what I wanted.
Jingle Bell Jingle Bam is the two elves, not Phineas and Ferb, that's a different group, but these two elves that they have, and the two elves are trying to help Santa save Christmas by tracking a sled and getting Santa back on track. And it's Christmas music with Christmas projections on the theater. Now, earlier that year, they were doing both shows. And then right for the holiday, like 2 weeks beforehand, they went, oh, nope, we're not going to be showing the Galaxy Far, Far Away ones for the entire week of Christmas. The year prior, they showed Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam at 6 and then closed the park with the Galaxy, the Star Wars one. And that was what I saw, and that's what I adored. This made me so unhappy. I mean, it's fine. There's a certain amount of Christmas music I want to hear, but when they're playing it constantly everywhere else in the park, who gives a crap, I guess is my moment. The other thing to be aware of is now that they don't have Osborne, they were trying to come up with something around it. So they're doing another projection show over on Hollywood Studios. So they're on the Tower of Terror. So they're doing all this projection stuff on the same theme. They have that, it's Snopes, which is the soap Snow. So it does Snope during the show. And it's 4 different little mini movies to music with projections, and the elves doing an intro. The same damn elves from the other one doing little mini, like 30-second intros and projection shows, and the Snope. And now they've added lasers to go through the Snope. So the Snope looks a little funky. But the 4 movies altogether took 15 minutes, maybe. It is playing nonstop. So if you're in that area, I saw the same Olaf music number 4 times because I was waiting to get myself a hot chocolate in a line while Drew was going to the restroom.
Well, I wasn't at the restroom the whole time. I went to the restroom. We separated up.
But I'm saying we got in, we watched some of them, then we went our separate directions for a minute. We came back. As I'm standing in line, I went through 4 times. Oh, he's got his hat. So this is his hat from Chapel Hats. That's his. Let's not do don't do the dyslexia.
No.
The epileptic seizure people will not like you for that. There we go. That's the way I like the hat. He got lots of compliments and comments on this. You've lost your. I don't know. I know. Why did you? Mine's going. You logged out of the chat. I don't know why you did.
Keep talking.
I'm talking.
All right. Jeez, my goodness.
So so he wore this hat over in Universal, he got lots of compliments and things because it's pretty damn fun and funny.
I got my ear bitten by a raptor.
Yes, he did. The raptor was really turned on. I think I popped that day of Universal up already. But yeah, the Velociraptor was just really into him. She started going for me, and then I kind of backed away and came back in, and then and the guy's like, oh, she doesn't like those lights, sir. She doesn't like those lights. So that was very fun.
Damn lights.
So favorites, or that what we up to? Okay, so favorite meal. Let's start with your favorite meal out of all of the meals you had.
So Tiffin's was not my favorite meal this time. I thought it was just fine, but the last time I went, it was so new. It was it was before Avatar opened, and it was right next to the entrance to Avatar. And just sitting in there was so magical, and it was a wonderful time. Now, attached to that is probably one of my favorite bar experiences this time and last time. The Nomads Lounge is just, it's such, for me, had the additional element of the music that was playing because I really love the bizarre types of fusion. Like they had African drums and the Japanese
like African
Indian
fusion
sitar with
really cool.
With a didgeridoo, like that kind of weird, funky, new wavy, jazzy kind of stuff, and it's all very Disneyfied. I mean, not Disney soundtrack Disneyfied, but Disney like I can't buy that CD anywhere.
Right,
so we even looked in the gift shops.
And they have some of the other shows, but they didn't have the restaurant stuff. And we need to ask them. Tiffin's was probably my favorite. Yes, I love Tusker House. Now, he didn't want to do any buffets because buffets don't make a whole lot of sense when you're dealing with having to count every calorie that you're eating. You know, you want a set platter kind of thing.
Carb, but
yeah, right. But you still have to count. So, so we did not do any of the buffets. But I love the piri piri salmon over at Tusker House. Oh my goodness, that stuff is good. Very much enjoy that. So yeah, but this trip, all right, so our foods were, first day was kind of eating in the Street Nomads Lounge, Sotuli Canteen in Tiffin's. The next day we had the Pecos Bill for lunch, and then we had dinner at Flying Fish. The next day was here. Now I am going to pull up my little menu, so give me a second here. La, 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 la.
And I'm trying to get my live chat back up so I can see what the comments are.
Just slide into YouTube. Well, you can also see them there.
I can, but then
All right, so restaurants. Let's do this section. So Flying Fish. We ate at the Wave. We did Epcot Snacking Around the World. We did Le Cellier. We did the Hollywood Brown Derby, Wine Bar George, Raglan Road, Mythos, Toothsome, Skipper Canteen, Coral Reef, Cowfish, and Vivo.
Toothsome also lost some of its appeal this time. I thought
that I was disappointed about the last quality, 2 times.
And I'm not complaining, but the quality has gone down. The food
and the energy of the people who were serving us.
Yeah, sometimes you get just bad wait staff, or not bad, but
2 times in a row this has been for me. The last time they were okay. This one they just really weren't.
2016 they were
amazing. They just opened,
energetic, and
they were fun.
They
were
had
interesting.
the whole bar to ourselves, which was bizarre because there was a huge wait to be able to get a table. So we said,
"Can we get the menu at the bar?" And
and they said, "Oh yeah, that's full bar menu service there." We were like, "What's the wait for up there?" And they said, "Well, just go on up and take a look." We were the first.
Yeah, and it did fill. The other side filled in because it's a half circle bar. But we got great service. The food was good. It's very limited for gluten-free options, and the quality just wasn't as good as it used to be. The desserts are still amazing. The alcoholic chocolate-themed beverages were amazing. I will say that. The drink quality was still amazing, but the food was getting average.
Everything at Toothsome is chocolate-based.
Most things.
Not everything, right? Yeah, it is a chocolate-themed restaurant.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And we got the nice people from the staff, the characters that do the walk around, and they were fine. But yeah, the bar staff and the quality of the food just isn't what it used to be. Just isn't. And so that made me sad. I will still probably go back, but if there's a wait, I wouldn't bother. Whereas I would still make sure I went to Cowfish or I would even try Vivo again. I was not a great fan of mine for Vivo, but I think I would enjoy it. Why did that go away? There we go.
Sanaa?
Oh, I want to do that. That's going to be on my next trip. I've made a reservation to Sanaa.
So I liked the restaurant experiences both at what is it? The Wave, as well as the Reef, which I had not done either one of those before, and they were quite good and quite surprising. I like it when it's kind of a new experience, and going back and finding some disappointments with the old experiences. It is what it is, right? You definitely have to make a trek back to be able to have that kind of not be as good as before, or sometimes it can possibly be better. Who knows?
Yeah. So what was your favorite meal out of all of those places, though?
My favorite meal, the actual food. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast.
Did you have Flying Fish? The scallops at Flying Fish? Did you like those?
Oh yeah, that scallops all over the place. It was a very good meal, but it was not like
your favorite. Okay.
It was not.
I'm wondering if Sotuli Canteen was your favorite. The surprise meal or surprise extra dinner. Yeah, it was kind of really good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
But you are your own chef at that point.
True. I was actually thinking Nomad's Lunch might have been my favorite meal because of those gluten-free churros.
Ah, yeah. The
poutine was average. The one they had, it was mushroom themed, and it was but the chicken satay was amazing, and those gluten-free churros were. Oh my God!
Yeah, these are the things that I wish that I didn't have gluten-free allergies for.
Yeah, really. It was they sell them. That's all they sell are the gluten-free ones. So it was kind of fabulousness, and that made us happy. Yeah. What else? So that was favorite foods. Favorite ride.
Oh wait.
What?
I just thought of another food.
What?
One of the really good foods that we had was, unfortunately, you didn't get it until it was cold because you had to run back and replace your.
So we did the holiday kitchens around the world when we were snacking, and actually even cold it was good.
Yeah.
It was the Three Kings kitchen, and it was a beef and masa dish, if I remember correctly.
They described it as basically, and what was the type of cuisine?
Latin. I mean, it was Latin.
They said it was basically a Brazilian lasagna. okay. I mean, it had a different flavor profile. It's certainly no marinara sauce, but it definitely had that kind of
layers and flavors, and it was really, really yummy.
Very tasty.
They had arepas, which I asked for the cheese arepas, and then they gave us the arepas with the shrimp on the side, which of course I'm actually very allergic to shrimp, but I only have to ingesting it. So he had the shrimp, and I ate the arepa from the other side, but it was drier because I wanted the one that had the cheese in it, which I was told was better. And then we got the whatchamacallit. So we got this layered thing. And if we look it up, we'll try to put that name up there of what it was.
Also the walk up, the holiday thing at Kitchen. The America was
we got a ham with a sweet potato mash and green beans.
But tasty, like unexpectedly tasty.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to go to America.
I said it's one of the 2 places I'm allowed to eat.
So we ended up stopping, and we were very happy that we did.
And he got a hot chocolate with a peppermint schnapps, I believe, and I got a cranberry sparkling wine. It was really good, not super sweet and bubbly and light, and it was fabulous. So yeah, that ended up being a really nice surprise meal.
Yeah.
But I think what did we get at Hollywood Brown Derby? Oh no, I wasn't feeling great at that point, and I ordered something that wasn't good for me. And for the first time, the bread at Hollywood Brown Derby disappointed me.
Oh, your bread was bad.
Yeah. They make a gluten-free bread, and they normally bake it there on property.
The first bread that they brought out was really it was
really rocks,
crumbling and
like I couldn't rocks.
So we brought it to the waiter's attention, and he profusely apologized and ran back and got a new one because it came out, and it still wasn't lackluster, but it wasn't as good as it should have been.
It wasn't the way, didn't feel fresh baked the way they used to make them there. I think they're sending them out and doing the freezing thing again, which it just screws it up. It's just never as good. But the fresh corn soup at California Grill. Oh, see, I love California Grill. He did not like California Grill. He was not impressed. I'm trying to remember he got something that just was not good, whereas my food was really good that night. The other thing I love is if you go to a restaurant, especially like a certain time of year, and you come back, they will say, thank you for coming back. One time I sat down, I have a thank you card on the table and little special glitters thrown down on the table because it was the second time I had gone for Christmas Eve dinner.
At Tiffin's, they did that. They gave us a little postcard.
Well, they gave a postcard to everybody, but they did a little thank you. They gave the peppermint bark was the thank you for coming back the second time. So, so they do a lot of that kind of stuff. So if you become that kind of a loyal person, it makes a difference.
Twice the second time.
Loyal.
Oh, that is loyal.
There's loyal. If I only come once a year and I'm only there 7 days and I go back, but there's still something there. That's true. Favorite ride this time, new or old?
I was surprised at how much hearing what it was that I was gearing myself up not to like the Fast and the Furious because I thought it was going to be the Kong ride, and I was so disappointed with the Kong ride. I loved the old classic Kong ride so much, and changing it into a TV show that's playing on both sides of you with not a whole lot of emotion or anything.
One really cool animatronic at the end.
Yeah, well, we found that out. You found that out.
I found that out this last time
with watching other vloggers. But the Fast and the Furious ride took that same concept and really did a good job with it. I was just caught up by the fact that I had seen a vlogger saying that you felt detached. The characters were all interacting with one another, but not really like they weren't having any energy or chemistry that they have in the movies. That's because none of them were on the filming location at the same time. They all had different obligations, so they filmed their roles, which always is, what did you think? Oh, I don't know. Back to you, and it had a little bit of disconnect. I noticed that the first time. Damn you, YouTube, with your vlogger info.
Shame on us.
So now you're gonna have your experience ruined too. Sorry.
It's okay. By the way, if you're enjoying this, if you hit the like button, that helps. Yeah. That gets more people to see it and share and stuff.
And subscribe.
Well, if you haven't subscribed, go for it. I think there might be 1 or 2 people here who may not have subscribed before, so it's but that way you'll get more video when I put more videos about the Orlando stuff, or I make comments on stuff. You'll see it, which is kind of nice.
The Snow White ride was the new one to me, but between the
Seven Dwarfs Mine Train,
between the two, I really like the Slinky
Jimmy
Dog
Fallon.
Dash.
Okay, for you, new rides: Jimmy Fallon, Fast and Furious, Slinky Dog Dash,
Slinky Dog Dash,
the alien spinning saucers, and Pandora's Flight of Passage.
Oh. So that was more,
Soarin' on steroids.
It's not quite as much motion as you get with the first Harry Potter thing, which actually swings you around your back, and does all kinds of motion. But it is.
You feel like you're flying.
If you get airsick watching To Fly at the IMAX theater down in Washington, D.C., you're going to get motion sick on Flights of Passage.
Because it does, rather than soaring where you go up and then you might do a tiny bit of this,
you actually,
your things actually start doing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I keep my eyes closed for it.
A lot. And I do get motion sick. And I can't do a number of roller coasters as a result, like the real fast, scary ones. But I definitely enjoyed this one. When I felt myself feeling a little queasy, I could just stifle it back down and kind of wait for. And it's got.
I closed my eyes.
It's got a lot of race and roar and grip your stomach moments, followed by a nice, serene looking out over the surroundings, and so they balanced and structured that ride very well so that you're not just constantly being hit and then it's over.
By the way, I want you to notice this. You see the little happy face as it shows up on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, now look at what it looks like on that screen. Doesn't it look like a little deformed?
Yeah.
Isn't that? That's why someone did it like, and it went, I was like, what the hell is that thing? And then I looked and I went, oh, it's just an O face. Yeah, for when you're looking through YouTube itself on our end of the live chat and top chat, it's, it's pretty funny. So, yeah, so your Flight of Passage, so which is your favorite? Slinky Dog, Flight of Passage, what's your top?
Between the two, I was most surprised and happy with the Slinky Dog. Yeah.
The other cool thing about Slinky Dog is you get a great view into Star Wars land. Yeah.
That is not open yet.
No, but damn.
It's not going to be an opportunity for other people to have the same kind of, holy cow, look at what's over there.
Yeah.
It was a glimpse behind the curtain at the.
And it's really far along, but yeah, it's still got a ways to go for sure. Trying to think of my favorite ride. Toy Story. No. You know what my favorite ride this year? Buzz Lightyear. Because I found out all the tricks to becoming a galactic hero.
Watching vlogs.
Well, watching other vloggers. And it stopped. And someone must have been getting in and out, with a disability. And that, thank you. Because it was stopped long enough that we were right at the perfect angle to hit one of these targets. And just
over and over. And
he maxed out on it before I maxed out on it.
She was like, I'm not telling you any more secrets. Yeah. How did you do that?
Oh, no, I was like, which one are you hitting? Because I switched to a second one for a minute, and he stayed on the one, and he maxed it immediately. And then there was a second room where you have another one, and I maxed out on that one. So we both got Galactic Hero, and that made me very happy. That was I learned. And I did infinitely better on Toy Story Land as well. Do you wear Buzz Lightyear? I do not. I have no Buzz Lightyear underpants. It's very sad. You don't have to send me any. I'm good without them.
Please wear underpants.
But it doesn't have to be Buzz Lightyear. We don't need that. Your favorite encounters you have there. What was your favorite encounter?
Oh, Raptor, always. I mean, the Raptor is hard to beat. I was a little disappointed with the Raptor this time for the way that the line structure went.
The staging.
In 2 years ago, when we went, we had a wonderful time being horrible people and scaring the bejesus out of the people in front of us in line, because they were thinking they're very key on using real life descriptors for that they're taking a feeding break, or the dinosaurs need to run around for a little bit so that they don't have so much energy they're going to eat the patrons. And so while the handlers are handlers again, the real versus the non-real, when the handlers are explaining that, they're also doing other coordinations with people back behind the set. They're talking on their headsets. They're doing those sorts of things. So where there's a vacuum, Michelle and I move in, and we start to then add and fill in between the lines as to what they were leading towards. And what do dinosaurs eat? Well, hang on one second. The official handler and
yes, Susan. Yes.
Goats and livestock and those sorts of things.
But they have to be because they said they had to go feed them. And he went, well, you don't put like a live cow in there.
Right.
I went, oh, yeah, well, they have to put in a live animal.
They don't.
I mean, they're not going to chase after it if it's already dead. You know, you need to pardon the phone ringing there. You know, they put it in. It doesn't die. You know, it dies quickly. It's like sort of like a snake. You know, and you grab it and it snaps the neck or something. So yeah, it doesn't last long. They're not in pain for too long. And so it was pretty hysterical. And at some point, and the cast member is still sitting there next to us, and they're going on and on. And I turned to the other cast member, and I went, I'm sorry if I'm talking out of turn. Please let me know. He went, oh no, you have it right. And then he went away, and just let us keep going. And we talked about the dietary habits of the dinosaurs and everything. It was evil. It was wonderful. It made me so happy. Yeah.
We apologize for Dickie Mo. He is now blocked.
Oh yeah, but he's blocked from you. I don't think he's blocked from the whole chat.
He should be.
You think so? Because I was trying to figure out how to do it from mine, and I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Block. Remove.
There we go. Okay. That's done. That's what I was trying to do. Thank you, everybody. Yep. So I have blocked all of that. We are done.
We're happy to have 11-year-old followers with parental supervision.
There you go. Thank you, Susan. Yes, and we blocked him here, so he shouldn't be showing up anymore. But that's what I needed to figure out. So you have to check. You hit on the person. So we were talking favorite encounters. Yeah. So okay, now here's this favorite cast member encounter.
Yeah. Well, that's cheating because she went to high school with one of the cast members. We can't say who,
but he wasn't on cast when he did that. That's what I wanted. All right, keep going, guys.
I hadn't finished with the raptor thing, but the raptor encounter, when we were unable to see what was going on, all you heard was the screaming and the dinosaur noises. And so it was kind of scary all the way through the line until your time came up, where you can then, after you're done, stick around just in the back scenes to watch the next group come through. But that was the only kind of viewing opportunities that you had. Other than that, it was just simply a surprise that it happened that way. So now they've cut back and opened it up so that you can watch everybody that's in line in front of you. Once you get to there's only 20, 30 people line queue ahead of you, you can see all of that stuff. So I thought that lost a little magic, that it didn't have kind of the scare appeal and the unknown, and meeting a dinosaur is scary, but look, it's just it's a wonderfully done not animatronic. It's a puppeteer thing with additional technology.
Body puppet.
Yeah.
But
good stuff, and it's always fun. And it's when you see us on the video doing it, it looks pretty benign, but it's actually, I mean, you're not scared for your life, but it is a thrilling, heart-beating opportunity. Stop. It's an experience. It really is.
It tried to eat him.
Every time I will go to that park, I will try to get on that experience. So definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah.
There's some other little experience types of shows, like the in Harry Potter all over the place, like the wand choosing ceremony. That was fun. We didn't do that this time, but the talking to the shrunken head on the bus, that's always fun too. But we didn't do that this time. We did that in previous times.
But I meant cast member encounter, like not a performer. You know, a waiter at a particular restaurant, or somebody who helped the.
Do you have one in mind? Because I'm trying to pull in a blank.
I'm just trying to think of like.
Yes, I had one, a very specific one.
What is it?
You were not there.
Well, then tell me about it.
This was after my failed Lyft experience, trying to get a ride back to the
timeshare or hotel.
No, it's a hotel. It was the Port Orleans French Quarter. The person that picked me up was a savior and was just aghast at the experiences that I had had with the drivers. And he was telling me all kinds of things, and he's asking me leading questions like, well, what really could happen here that would make your trip worthwhile now and after that? And it was just, we bantered and we had a good time and a good conversation, and they're just as happy and go lucky as any of the street people, assistants and people who are in the parks, and they're Disney employees. So that that was an additional level of magic that I didn't really kind of comprehend, that the minivans were going to be like that. Even if you read it, you don't really get an idea of how much that can actually mean to you. Then he asked me, what's your favorite ride? And he switched the radio to actually have music from that ride, And so I was asking him if he could come up with the music that I loved over at the Nomad Lounge. And unfortunately, that's too new and doesn't have that stuff yet. He goes, well, we need to make a channel. I'll put in that request for you.
Yeah, and they'll listen. They do listen to what the customers say, which is really kind of lovely. So is there anything else on the list? Either experience? I don't think so. That was it.
One thing we were no, it's on the list. No,
so the one thing
passes, but we've been talking about that kind of on and off. The photographers 2 years ago damn near wanted to make us a married couple. I mean, they just were taking romance shots left and right. And so after a while, we just went with it and started to goof off. But we kept going, we're not a couple. We're travel partners. We're just having a good time. We're friends. And they're like, yes, but hold hands and make smoochie anyway. And I'm like, come on. And so we're doing this crazy stuff. So we came up with a strategy kind of without voicing it to one another this last time, where the first shot that you take is going to be goofy, just some kind of silly stuff so that they know that we're silly, not
romantic
on an anniversary. Yeah. Or a first date or whatever.
Oh my God, it was making us crazy. We're not I mean, it's a lovely shot. It looks like we're in love and having some amazing whatever going on, but we're not. Sorry, this keeps falling.
Also, the staff that we engaged with this time, we had a whole different level of attention. That does sound really cool,
Susan, by the way.
Level of attention with the VIP tour types of things. I mean, all of the tours, the tour guides were just so accommodating, and we have paid for their time to answer all of our questions. And there were a couple of questions that were asked that they couldn't answer, and we were identifying that in other guests that were asking, like, well, we can't give away anything, but there's some things are real and some things are Disney real. And their line was, we don't use the 4-letter F word in these parks, and they were referring to fake, but
they don't use the F word.
Disney real. And so we pointed out a couple of things here and there, and they're like, yeah, that's Disney real. and we prefaced our questions with, we appreciate if you can't answer this out loud, but if you have a moment, I'd love to know the answer to this. Good stuff, good attention, good, and the tour guides we had, I can't imagine any of them are going to be any better than the ones that we had because they were so great, but I don't anticipate any of them would be any worse either.
Yeah,
I mean, they're in the position as tour guide because of their level of excellence.
Yep. So I guess unless anyone has any last minute questions, we're gonna close this one up for today, I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Keys to the Kingdom, just
it was fun.
Be prepared to have little trickles of blood coming from all the trivia that you're going to learn and all the stories and all the things that your brain fills up, and I'm trying to remember everything, and I can't even remember the things that I wanted to remember.
That's fine, but I have trickles of blood. What the hell? Yeah. All right. So throw your last minute questions if you've got them here. If not, topics that you want to hear for the next live chat thingy that we do, or I do. I don't know if you'll be with me.
I will be probably over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I can't not let him do that. But that's about it.
Or if you're watching with your devices down there,
or sideways comments on our face, I'll be over here. So I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. You guys have been great.
For those people who weren't able to
participate or watching after fact,
then couldn't chat. Appreciate that too.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and maybe a topic for future: how to plan priorities. Okay, yeah, we can talk about that and how I make people set that up. Yeah, because that's what I do.
Good at it.
I know. So that's about it. And thanks, guys. We will see you next time. How's that sound?
I like it.
Okay. We'll see you next time, guys.
We have no taglines.
Not yet. That's soon.
Good.
See you later.